Okay, so y'all have already alluded to it. So for anybody that's been paying attention for the last week or so, it's been a while since we recorded anyway, but we're going to get to that in a little bit. But the last week or so, as of Monday, May 6th, the last week or so has been crazy, wild. And we'll just go ahead and get some of these thoughts out of the way before we get into the crazy first round that was the 2024 NBA playoffs. But unless you've been living under a rock, we got 4 new Kendrick Lamar songs in a week. I feel like that's a world record. But this Kendrick and Drake beef has been taken to heights unseen in a very, very long time. General thoughts on this back and forth and just this general discourse that's been going on the past week or so.
Obi ho. That was like, I love it.
That is so catchy. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know what made him go in there and say that, but I'm happy he did. No, okay. So I came into this beat very unbiased, right? Like, no horse in the race. Y'all are both starting at the 50. But Kendrick ate him up. He ate him up. Now I do like, Drizzy said I could never be a number one fan and all that stuff. Like that was dope. That was dope. But the receipts like that come with what Kendrick has been saying is like
He
you
said,
worried about telling us you don't have a daughter. You said nothing about not being a pedophile. Then you follow up with claims of not being a pedophile, and you mentioned Millie Bobby Brown. Well, who said her name? It ain't given. It ain't
he a
given. The
fan, he
cover
a fan,
arts.
he a fan.
hey,
He a
look,
fan, he a fan, he a
Yeah.
fan.
hey,
Freaky, huh? Freaky what?
randomly throughout the day saying that. Just repeating that line over
Mhm.
and over because why everybody said, oh well, Dot ain't got no banger, his diss tracks ain't a banger. Well, now he has one and we're gonna be
Yes.
playing it all summer.
Yep.
Sorry.
And
And
I
that's
think he
that's
heard that.
unbiasedly for me. As anybody that knows me knows that I am more of a Kendrick fan than a Drake fan, but I respect Drake. I've always respected
Mhm.
Drake's music, but in this beef, I'll make this very quick. I haven't liked the discourse that's been happening since the whole beef started. I've never liked the discourse when it comes to the comparison between these two in particular, because Drake's just held in a certain regard in general in music and pop culture. So a lot of people use that stature to argue that like nobody can do anything better than him. Teach his own, right? I feel like there's a difference in music culture and pop culture and hip hop culture and rap culture. I feel like there's a difference. I feel like those are different audiences. Some people are audiences of both, but they're different audiences that pay attention to different things. I don't want to hear about numbers and streaming when we talking about hip hop and rap. I don't think it's about that. And when
Mhm.
you take that out
About
of
the
it, for
culture.
me, I think that levels the playing field a lot more than people who lean more toward Drake like to admit. And I feel like at that point, that's where no matter who your pick is in this beef, I think Kendrick has always represented the culture more than Drake has. And I think that's really just what Kendrick's been saying in the majority of his disses. It's been this what the culture's saying. What I'm saying, like as much as I genuinely don't like you, like I hate you, but the culture hates these things about you, and this is why we're addressing it. So, as much as like we got some great music between this back and forth, don't get me wrong. So just as music fans, it's been cool, but no matter who you say won, whether you saying Drake waved the white flag with the last track or not, honestly, this can be over. I'm not gonna lie to you. We could be done with this and move on about our day. But it's been an interesting month. But Gail, I'm ready for your breakdown of all of this from your perspective.
I can keep it light. I mean, I don't gotta go deep, uh, in too deep. As somebody that's been a front row for both of these people, seen, enough of who they are. Let's go bar for bar. I mean, we started off at a point where it's like, okay, let's take it all the way back. Let's take it all the way back. Let's go
Wait,
through.
how far back?
We can go 2013
All right, not that.
on
Okay.
Kendrick's Cipher.
So
I
you want
mean,
to debunk
BET?
this decade-long myth. I mean,
I mean,
decade-long beef that's been happening.
said Tuck, that sensitive rapper in his pajama pants. I mean, who else? I mean, it could have been very vague, but I mean, okay, let me shorten it. Let's get to where we're at now. I think, oh, okay, I've said some crazy things. I've said, oh yeah, you were in the last one. We were in a chat together when I said that heinous thing, and I think I haven't been wrong about what it has been. But let me keep it sterile. These are two very that rock with me. That both these fan bases ride hard for their people.
Yes.
They ride hard for their people. Like, and I think that you're not going to get a very genuine discourse on this because there's going to be too strong of feelings on both sides to really get to a middle ground of saying, like, they've both released really good music, and this person is probably in the lead because, like, they're going to take whatever their GOAT says at face value, and they're just going to be like, oh, Drake said he didn't have a kid, so it's over. It's like R. Kelly said he didn't do what he did either, but here we are. And, like, to say that you're too famous for something to happen, proven not to be true. It just takes time for a case to be loaded up. You got people on payroll. There's history of you being weird already. Like, you shouldn't be giving relationship advice to a 14-year-old Millie Bobby Brown. Like, I'm not to be like, this is right, this is wrong, but I mean, like, my boy, when you're on stage kissing a 17-year-old on, like, I mean, and then, like, the defenders, it's like, why do you know these things? Why do you know the age of consent in these places so that you could defend your GOAT? Like, and if you know that on a personal basis, that's probably an issue that I think Kendrick is talking on. It's a bigger thing. I think the best flip is low key talking about his Atlanta connect, because I've been said that that's been a thing for a minute, but to put it down in that type of way and say that, oh yeah, you basically just have pimped out all of the inner city of Atlanta for your personal, gain. Hey man, the colonizer bar was kind of crazy. I mean, he every flip has been insane by every one of these people. I think the last flip was just kind of the weakest. I think he got handcuffed into a no, I'm not diss, and it's like he kind of left it like you could respond 10 more times, and I'll see you in the afterlife. Like, you Erykah Badu that man, saying that you'll see him when you're both butterflies.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, why? And to the point that he gave him fake details and he was like, you fell for the plot. It's like, you don't need to drop a diss then. You just drop a video of, like, here I am coordinating said fake meetup. Here's a picture of me with the clothes. And beef is over. Then it's like, oh yeah, he's a fraud. Yeah,
I don't believe that he set that up. I don't believe he set that up.
Nobody does.
I mean, how do you have a diss track on the way back with Ozempic bars 45 minutes after Drake just dropped a thesis? Like, I mean, he had back and forth. I think, they both dropped masterpieces along the way. I think that these last two were just body blows. He hit him with a deep storytelling of, God, we'll see if he has a daughter or not. I'm seeing photos of a Drake clone on my TL that's a little boy. And I'm just like, that his mom has said that Drake has been the baby dad the whole time. But it's like, regardless if any of that is true, I mean, he did it with the first one. And also, I'm more inclined to believe somebody that hasn't had something come up and have been questioned about his character than somebody that I can look at and be like, example? He's going on a date with this chick when she turns 18. He knew her 2 years prior. Oh, wait. He was at your high school basketball games. He followed you. Like, oh, he was a fan of high school basketball. Not to say that that's an issue. But I mean, when you have a certain history like this man does that we've seen, you got people on payroll. I mean, it's just hard. It's disingenuous. It's on both sides, regardless. Like, like Vince Staples said it best. We could be helping each other get out of our slave contracts to these industries and, whatever it may be. But right now I'm enjoying it. This is great. Like I said, great for hip hop. I think we need more hate on stream. But not for me. All of these NBA players are great. Let's go talk about them.
Right. The last thing I will say, I agree it is good for hip hop and rap in general. I do think that. I do also believe that within this beef and these tracks, I think that Drake's response to Euphoria was a missile that got shot down. Like Family Matters was a missile that was it was aiming toward Kendrick, and everybody was like, all right, this was a good punch back. But I really think the turning point to drop Meet the Grams and for Meet the Grams to be what it was, to drop that in the same night, I feel like it kind of like that already in itself was like, yo, like there's no way Drake couldn't prepare for that. He wasn't prepared for that. And then Not Like Us was just the KO. Like
that was like
that was the dead kick. Like that was just
not to put a historical reference to it, but when Ari called me and was like, it felt like that man that had to go tell George Bush what he had to tell George Bush. It was like, he did what?
Yeah.
He's doing what? And then for it to be about, and I think that's, if I'm going to just make it simple, I think Kendrick wins simply for the fact that he out-Draked Drake than Drake trying to out-Kendrick. Even though he called it the hard part 6, he gave it his little, he ended on his little quote, his little Instagram quote. Like, if you're telling all these, I forgot what it was. Like, whatever he tried to.
He could have said
it. He couldn't outdo the man at what he did. And Kendrick made something that, oh my God, it was for the West. It was for the West. It's catchy and it's got teeth. Now I'm out here dancing to some heinous accusations. I'm out here like
when I woke up the next morning and my timeline was filled with Crips sea walking.
Please stop. Please stop.
Ashley, I'm so serious. The next morning, all my timeline was like, it's just West Coast people just sea walking and doing all the West Coast dances to this song. I'm like, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? Oh, like, are we not supposed to yell that? Are we not supposed to chant that back?
I think it's psychotic for him to say, are you my friend? Are we locked in? Like, you're psychotic.
He's a menace.
Like what? That is, and
No, the fan part and the 69 God part, if you know what he say before that. That part in itself is probably the most diabolical part of the song. The last minute of that song,
A minor, in Nicki voice,
sweet chin music, and I'm not passing the.
We're not gonna John Stockton bar, the John Stockton bar, because you know how we feel about that man on this pod. He gave a John Stockton bar, and John had to come up to me and tell me. I was like, but former co-host had to be like, oh yeah, you know why I said John Stockton, right? And I was like, what? And I was like, oh. That's not good. That's not good.
It's not good.
Like, he's hitting us on levels. Like, yeah, I don't know. And like I said, Family Matters is great. I think that's the one thing that people. If I'm talking to my guy in New York, I'm Ant. Who no one knows him. I'm a name drop Ant. But he's big Drake fan. I'm gonna put him out there. But he also admitted, he's like, what? How do you respond to this? Like, what do you do? Like, I'm over here like crip walking in my thoughts, as he said. Like, he's like, it's very hard to come back from something like this. It's
crip walking in my thoughts. But I get it.
Because his argument is that no one has given Drake enough praise for Family Matters for being what it is. Because Kendrick gave it no space to breathe.
Exactly. It was overshadowed immediately within 10 minutes.
Let me bring up a devil's advocate thought point where it's like, oh yeah, anything. It was also said that anything that Drake did, he was set up to lose. Like, he was not set up to win this battle at the end of the day. And I'm like, I can see that point of like, people have gotten to a point with Drake where they've already voiced, frustrations with him and gripes about who he is. But I think it's a fair fight. but these are both the biggest. Like I said, it's the biggest annoying fan bases that there are in the rap community for
In
who they
rap,
rock
yeah.
with. So it's like it's gonna be. I wish I could say the phrase, but there's people that watch this now. I have an obligation. Uh, but those who know ask me what the phrase is in person. But yeah, it's just like you just have to battle around those fans, and then at that point, it's fair man wins. And I think that if Drake had the same plan of attacking Kendrick immediately after, I think they still would have found it just as cool. I was saying that like people would have thought it was corny and like, oh, like he is obsessed with Kendrick, but I think whoever we do live in an obsessed culture where it's like the last man that hits is what we remember most. So it's like at this point, if it's that, I think the one that's most memorable right now is Kendrick's though, even though Drake dropped last. But sorry, I said I wasn't going to go deep, and now I'm in too deep.
It's you bringing that reference back a second time is crazy. Also, shouts out to Cole for getting out of his fight before he realized this was not his fight. So glad he
Best memes about everything. Him riding a bike, him as a Ronaldo just in a pool having a great
look.
time. Like
Continue to live your life, peaceful king. This was not your battle. It's okay.
He said, I know these people. They're
It's not for me.
no.